Did you see my boys come back with a big victory? Woo! Tied up. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. I'm sorry, I was on the edge of my seat. Damn. My boy's son was like, you gotta open the next video big. The show did that for me. Holy crap. But anyway, hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be talking about Haikyuu to the Top, Core 2. We're gonna be talking specifically about episode 15, Found. Before we begin though, gotta let you know, make sure you hit that subscribe button, and most importantly, make sure that you ring that bell. That's basically the new subscribe button. Seriously, if you care about a channel, not even just mine, just a channel in general, make sure that you ring that bell, set notifications to on. It is super important now, so yeah, make sure that you ring that bell. Definitely important, but without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about this week's episode of Haikyuu. Can you tell that I'm a little bit hyped? I am so excited. I was not anticipating. I thought the first set was gonna be a wash. Like, I was like, okay, we're gonna lose the first set. We're gonna lose the first set because Inarizaki is insanely tough. So in my head, I'm thinking there's no way. Like, we're gonna lose the first set. For sure. For sure. And that's fine, right? Because, like, I've seen Karasuno come back from the brink tons of times. It's okay to lose the set. We'll just lose the first set. That's fine. I think we got a chance. And I don't want to jinx it or nothing, but I really think the boys have put the pedal to the metal. There's a chance that they could take back the first set. That they can take the first set. I mean, like, we were losing the entire set. And then out of the blue, we pull ahead with the victory. And you know what I think it is? And this is what I think is going to ultimately be the big deciding factor, right? And I'm basically going to split this video up by talking about Inarizaki, and then I'll talk about our gang Karasuno. But I want to start with our challengers, because honestly, to me, I think they actually had a pretty, like, legitimately good showing. I thought Aran was, like, really tough. Like, no joke, I'm not just saying that. Like the dude really struck me as intense, and I wanted to shout the man out off the top. Aran is, to me, a demonstration that it's not just Atsumu and Osamu. Like, the whole team is strong. And Aran is very clearly like their ace. Like, Yamaguchi even refers to him as the ace. I would assume that it'd be Atsumu because that man is insane. But it's Aran as well. And the man's no joke. This man straight up spikes over 3 of the boys. Now, mind you, I could be wrong, but I'm fairly certain the 3 were Daichi, Hinata, and I think it was Kageyama. It may have been Suki. I don't super remember who the 3rd one is. But regardless, Aran getting a huge spike over 3 members of Karasuno is insane. You know, like, you don't, like, I'd love to see, like, Aran versus, like, The Wall, you know? Like I'd love to see him go up against, like, Date Tech. You know, like, that to me, like him, if he's able to spike over 3 Karasuno members, him spiking over 3, like, Date Tech, like, members would be really, really cool. But even Asahi gives this man his due. Even Asahi's like, I can't pull that off. But he can't help himself, right? Like, this is the big thing, is that Inarizaki, I think, by underestimating, or at the very least by playing the way that they're playing, I think are actually going to be the causes of their own destruction. And they're going to ultimately fall to another thing that I'll get into in just a second. But you see them, like, you see the Karasuno gang, like, watching the way that they play and either adapting or attempting to pull off the same moves. They're either adapting and changing their playstyle or specifically trying to mimic. Like, Asahi sees what Aran does and he's like, I think I could do that too, right? Because Noya's over there like, hey, you can do that anytime, Asahi. And Asahi's like, yeah, probably not. probably not. But he's gonna try. And he leaps up, and again, same situation. Three members of Inarizaki, and Asahi leaps up, and again, I gotta give my kudos to the sound department, because the special effect, or the sound effect rather, of him, like, stretching his arm back, and you hear the, like the stretch of, like that stretching sound. And then you think, like, a big spike's coming, right? You think, like, Asahi's gonna pull something crazy. Asahi about to go crazy, but no. Asahi actually just kind of, like, lightly hits the ball with the fingertips. But as we've learned over the course of the show, sometimes you don't need a big, powerful spike. Sometimes just a light tap of the fingertips is enough to send it careening over the top of the net and getting you a point. And Asahi even says, like, yeah, sorry about that. Don't be sorry, Asahi, you got a point, man. Like, at the end of the day, point's a point. Like, take the point. The only time I think you're allowed to be, like, embarrassed about getting a point is when, like, Hinata took a volleyball to the face, you know what I mean? Or when he, like, kicked the volleyball and stuff like that. Then you could be a wee bit embarrassed. But, like, Asahi, do not be embarrassed by that. But, yeah, this wasn't supposed to be me gushing about Asahi. It was supposed to be me gushing about Oran, but it became an Asahi moment. So, whatever. To me, this is the big thing, right? Again, as I said, adapting and mimicking the playstyle is one thing. But I think what's gonna be the unraveling is actually Osamu and Atsumu. These two are Osamu, sorry. Osamu is told, overhears that, like, man, they must have insane trust. Like, they must really trust each other. I think Oran says that, like, you guys must really trust each other. Like, you knew he was gonna get there for that quick? That's crazy. And Osamu's like, it's not really that I trust him. In fact, he kind of sucks. And, like, you see him, like, saying, like, he's irresponsible, he lies, he steals things. Like, I don't really trust him like that. I can't trust him to show up places. I can't trust him to do whatever. I don't trust him. I just know the ball's coming, right? And to me, I'm like, I think, and we see the pair of them, like, the twins throughout, like, I think there's some resentment. I really, really think there's some resentment there. Now, some brothers do have that, you know, like some folks, and even some sisters as well. Like, it doesn't matter. Siblings have that, you know, where, like, there's this level of, like, animosity, you know, like siblings have that sibling rivalry, like, you know, there's an underlying sort of resentment to some degree. But I think with Osamu and Atsumu, it's a little bit more pronounced because Osamu's, like, constantly having to deal with Atsumu's, let's be real, even though we love him, overbearing personality. You know, like, as he said, he lies, he's late to things, he steals things, he's irresponsible, he can't trust him. He just knows that the ball is coming. But I think that that's the big thing that might unravel them, is this resentment between the two and the lack of trust. And to me, that's key, right? Like, we see Kinoshita, when he goes out, Ukai tells him, like, remember, they are, like, he lists the names of their ace players and then their age. And he says, like, that's all the information you need. You got that? And Kinoshita, like, recognizes that you're right. They're not, like, aliens. They're not college players. They're not professional players. They're high school volleyball players just like Karasuno. But Kinoshita is also well aware that there is a big difference, and that is that they are significantly more skilled than players like Kinoshita, right? Like, Kinoshita is aware, he's in his second year, and he's not quite as capable of stepping up to the plate in the same way a lot of the Inarizaki characters are. And he knows that they're outclassed, but he's hoping that their weirdo first years can actually back up and beat their superior skill. Essentially, trusting his team. Putting faith in the team. What team? Karasuno! I wasn't gonna say Wildcats. Shut up. You don't know what I was gonna say. But yeah, like, the fact that he trusts his team is incredibly vital. I don't know if Osamu truly trusts his team. I don't know if Atsumu even really trusts his team. I don't know if Oran really trusts his team. They just know that they're good players, and they get by on being good players. And they do synergize, like, they work quite well together, but I don't feel the same trust that I see from other teams. Not even just Karasuno. You know, like, I don't feel the same trust that I've seen from other teams in the show so far. And I think that is going to be a deciding factor. Also, the fact that Atsumu is reading Kageyama like a book, right? He's zeroed in on Kageyama. And this is costing him points. Because noticeably, he's not focusing on Hinata, and he really should be. Why do I say that? Because even the scouts are saying that, like, at first I thought the scouts were doubting my boy. But the scouts even say, like, I don't think it's that he's disappointed that Inarizaki can do these quick spike, that they're like free quicks, you know? Like, I don't think that's it. I think he's fired up, you know? And at first, I will admit that at first I thought that the scouts and like the coach that we saw from like the Tokyo team building thing, I can't even remember what it's called, but like the coach / scout from that, I was like, oh hey man, like I forgot your name, but I remember who you are, I remember your face, I'm better with faces. So I remembered him, and I was concerned because I'm thinking like, why is he talking shit about my boy? Like at first the way it's worded is that like he probably wasn't really noticed up until he worked with Kageyama. I'm like, why are you talking shit about my boy? But the way it's worded, it's more like, no, I think he's aware that there's other setters like Kageyama. He's not going to be with Kageyama forever. Can he be a good enough player? And I don't think he's disappointed. I think he's fired up. And that's just it. That's why I'm saying Atsumu better friggin' start paying attention, not just to Kageyama. I know you got this like weird fetish with Kageyama, but you better focus, dude. Because Hinata's here to play. My boy's here to play. And how do I know that? Because Hinata gets assigned to handle Osamu by Ukai. And first of all, again, the level of trust in the team. Trust your teammates. Trust in the team. And Ukai trusts Hinata to stick to Osamu. And you know what? He does. My boy blocks Osamu's spike. And again, I will repeat, Hinata Shoyo blocks Osamu Miya's spike. Hinata, 164 centimeters, blocks Osamu 183 centimeters. Stay mad. I was like, holy shit. And like, and when I say stay mad, I mean it. Atsumu's pissed. And this is part of it, like, they bicker about this. Like, Atsumu is pissed about this. And he's like, what, are you scared of their, like, little, like, you scared of their little spiker? And he's like, of course I'm not pissed. Or, of course I'm not scared, I'm pissed, right? And Hinata's like, you're not scared? And he's like, no. And then that pisses Hinata off, right? He's like, what do you mean he's, like, what does he mean he's not scared? And Hinata, again, adapting his playstyle, starts to think back to all the blockers that we've met, right? And he's like, who bugged me the most? Now, I thought it was going to be Kuro. If I'm honest. I thought it was going to be Kuro or Aone from Date Tech. I thought it was going to be like one of them, right? I'm like, who's it going to be? I totally forgot about Iwaizumi. I totally forgot about this dude. And I feel bad, but I did. But yeah, I totally forgot. I completely forgot about this guy. Again, I feel a wee bit bad. Honestly, Haikyuu has so many characters that I will admit that unless they leave a really big impression, like Oikawa, I'll just forget. And it's not an insult, I just will forget sometimes, that's my bad. But yeah, I'll admit I may have forgotten. My bad, Oizumi. But it works, and Hinata actually does manage to like trick Osamu into like, because he puts his hands directly where he knows he's gonna hit, right? So he's like, okay, and that forces Osamu to hit this straight, but the straight leads right to Noya. And of course, my boy Nishinoya is just like, Hinata, did you plan that? Right? Because he's like, because that was beautiful, right? It's like, god damn it was, like, oh, it's so good. No, I was so proud. I was so proud. Hinata on defense. My boy is doing well on defense. Hinata, ball boy Shoyo. I'm screaming. I haven't screamed in these videos and I don't know how long. That's because Haikyuu, first of all, because again, Haikyuu, you gotta bring the hype for Haikyuu. I think that's part of the reason why people be sleeping on the Haikyuu videos here on the channel. There's not enough hype, and I agree with you. But honestly, this game is bringing the hype, man. Like, I am, like, so involved. And I know some people are like, oh, To the Top is slow. To the Top's not as fun as Season 3. To the Top was built into this. You don't get to this without Ball Boy Shoyo arc. You do not get here without that. And you needed that. You needed Ball Boy Shoyo. You needed to see Kageyama and Atsumu working together. Like, you needed all of that. You needed to see the team building up as individual players. You needed to see Karasuno build up their individual skills and then come back together, reunite and improve those skills and trust in those skills as a team. And speaking about trusting in those skills, I gotta talk about my boy Yamaguchi. Oh, I lost my shit. Oh, I was so proud. Yamaguchi is like of all the crows, of all the Karasuno crows, Yamaguchi's the one that seems to struggle the most. You know, he seems to be the one who kind of has trouble flying. But, well, Kinoshita as well. But, like, Yamaguchi, I feel like, has the most, is, like, 9 times out of 10, like, the most improved. You know what I mean? Like, he's always, to me, like, the one who typically does something in a game that manages to tip the scales. The jump float serve has always been, whether or not he hits it or not, a tipping point in every game that he uses it in. And I think him using it here was probably the best jump float serve I've seen him do in some time. Mind you, we've seen Yamaguchi hit some pretty top tier jump float serves, but the whole like storytelling of this one moment where Yamaguchi steps out, and first of all, like Suga jinxing it, like almost, thank God, but almost jinxing it, going like, Yamaguchi, you gotta hit this. I have a feeling like I have a feeling like we can do this. I have a feeling like we got this. And I'm like, Suga, shut up! Like, as soon as he said that, I'm like, Suga, why would you say that out loud? Red flag! Red flag! Why the hell would you say that out loud? So when he said that, I assumed, and Furudate sensei, genius. Right? Because when he said that, I'm assuming, like, okay, he's gonna screw up the jump float serve. And then, as I'm thinking that, Yamaguchi looks for the exit sign, and it's blocked, and he can't see it, and he's like, oh shit. And then he starts hearing the like, boo, he starts hearing the booing, and just don't boo, it's obnoxious. I say it's obnoxious, but you know that we would all do it if we were on the court. We'd all be booing in Inarizaki. We'd be like, boo, Karasuno, Haikyuu. Like, I get it, but at the same time, when they're booing him, and if they're booing my boy, it's like, shush your face. But this does sort of rattle him, and then she might shown up for the save. She might just shown up with like the like, hey Yamaguchi, like, and he like lifts like the Shimaida market, so like he lifts up the bag, and it's familiar. It's what he recognizes, like when he was practicing the jump float serve. So it sort of centers him. It's like the rock that sort of like tethers him to that moment. It lets him ignore everything else. It's him, the ball, the bag, and he hits the jump float serve. Bounces off Iran's hands, and again, no disrespect to Iran, but bounces off Iran's hands. Big point. Why is it so big? Because that is the point that has Karasuno finally pull ahead. They start to lead towards the end of the first set. They're leading, and the episode ends with Yamaguchi hitting another jump float serve. And listen, no disrespect to Inarizaki, none. Osamu's a beast. Atsumu's a beast. Aran is a beast. They're like that whole team, beast-like. And we haven't even seen most of the other players really shine yet. And from what I hear from manga fans, strap in, friends, because this is going to be a long game. But the sheer fact that Yamaguchi gets the jump float serve on a player as badass as Aran, and that he's going to hit another one, and God help me, he better get it. I'm hoping he does. But the fact that they might take the first set, hell yeah, that's huge. So with that said, everybody, that is going to wrap up today's video here. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't forget to boop that up snoot, share if you care, leave a comment down below, and of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. Let all of AniTube know that you're here. And of course, as always, I have to give a big thank you to the good folks in the T Squadron. Look at these beautiful people. Look at all these beautiful names, and hey, if you would like to join these beautiful people, there are now 2 ways to do so. The first is by hitting that first link in the description to check out our Patreon page, and the second option, for just a wee bit more, is by hitting that join button right beside the sub button. Get yourself a badge next to your name, some emotes to spam in the comments and premiere chats, as well, of course, as your name at the end of these videos. So if that sounds cool to you, go ahead and hit that join button, help support the channel, or you can hit that Patreon link as well. Either way, helps support the channel, helps me keep these lights on, and I appreciate it very much. With that said, everybody, I am gonna go get myself a glass of water. I feel like I threw out my voice, but that's fine. Anyway, until next time, you stay classy, AniTube, and wash your dang hands.